The Washington Commanders nearly upset the Denver Broncos on Sunday Night Football, losing 26-27 in overtime. Now they get to travel to Minnesota to take on the Vikings, who are looking to bounce back after an embarrassing loss in Week 13. My name's Tyler, here with my brother Ryan. We're going to break down this game and provide our predictions at the end. So be sure to stay tuned, leave a comment, and while you're at it, hit that subscribe button to get notified when new videos come out. Trying to get to 10,000 subscribers by the end of the year. Let's see if we can make that possible. And Ryan, let's get into it here.
Let's do it.
Shout out to former Atlanta Falcons starting quarterback Marcus Mariota. What an amazing game. What amazing performance. He deserves all the praise here. And honestly, to the whole Washington team, what a game. Like they technically were still in the playoff hunt going into this game, if I'm not mistaken, but that was just pure pride going into
Yeah.
that game. We're in primetime football, a bunch of veterans being like, no, we're going to go and try and win this game here. And man, they were honestly just a couple inches away. Nick Bonino was just 1 or 2 inches smaller than that pass would have gone over. I think it was Jeremy McNichols that
Yeah. Oh, he was
that
wide open.
he was wide open. It was a great play call. It was absolutely great play call. But shout out to them in general and this Washington team too. It made me feel more confident that last year wasn't a fluke with the way that this whole team was playing. I know Jaden Daniels obviously wasn't playing, but Marcus Mariota, he played like how we all envisioned Jaden Daniels would. And you go and look and see it's like, no, I think this team is just the unfortunate team of the team that gets the injury bug every single year.
Yeah.
And so, and I think that they were able to compete against the best in the AFC. So they're going to be going up against Minnesota Vikings, who, good news for them, JJ McCarthy is coming back. Well, I don't know if that's good news. Depends on who you ask in Minnesota. But very tough performance overall. Going on the road in Seattle is always a tough place to play. Max Brosmer as well, too, though, throwing 4 picks. Tough scene overall. Not that Minnesota was favored to win that game, but you can't have 4 turnovers. So, or 4 interceptions. Do they have more? I stopped watching the game, if I'm being completely honest. No, 5. They did have 5. They even
Yeah.
lost a fumble too. So that's never good. But Ryan, I want to throw it over to you here. When you go and watch that Washington game here, comparing it then to where Minnesota's at, both of these two teams are regressing heavily from last year, and kind of eyes are set on the 2026 offseason. What are some areas that you think both teams can really go and focus on in the 2026 offseason?
Yeah, I still think for the Commanders, improving that offensive line is going to be a big thing. They went and got Laramie Tunsil. They drafted Josh Connerly. I still feel like that interior is going to be something that they could definitely go and improve early on in the 2026 draft or in free agency. Receiver wise, Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel are getting up there in age. I know that's still their 2-star receivers, but I do think going and potentially trying to add another receiver at some point into the mix, and then replacing the tight end. Zach Ertz is in his late 30s now, and is more than likely done. There were rumors that he was going to retire at the end of last season, but then he said he wanted to come back to play with Jaden Daniels again. So there are definitely some offensive areas where they can go and improve, but mainly defense. I think for the Commanders, I think edge rusher is going to be a big one. Going and getting another corner is another area that they could potentially address at the top of the draft again as well. So I think that this roster for the Commanders is good. I just think it could be overall a little bit better at each position. So I think that they still have a good roster. Obviously, quarterback is figured out with Jaden Daniels. I still think Deebo Samuel and Terry McLaurin have a few good years left in them. We'll see. Maybe Terry has a little bit longer. Deebo Samuel is probably going to have more of the lifespan of a running back. But it's an interesting dilemma that the Commanders are in, because they figured out the quarterback. They went out and they got a bunch of pieces to surround him with, but then everybody kind of got injured this year. So it leaves you a little bit in limbo where you don't know fully who is going to be going into this team going forward. And the Vikings, I mean, they got to figure out that quarterback position overall. I think it's really interesting kind of looking at what they were last year with Sam Darnold. And then now you look at, like, they drafted JJ McCarthy 10th overall. They actually even traded up to draft him. I don't know if a lot of people remember that, but they traded up to draft him, and he's just been a bit of a mess. I know he tore his meniscus last year and didn't play, and so I think that's going to be something, continue to improve along the offensive line. If they feel they need to, make a move for a quarterback, I think they're going to be within striking distance to go get one. And then defensively, I feel like that secondary could still be improved. That front seven, I think, is still fairly solid, but overall, it's going to be really interesting to see kind of what additions they can make on the back end of that defense. So both these teams, I think, looking forward to 2026, I think they could really be contenders again. I just don't know. They have a few glaring issues that needs to be addressed, and they might have pieces on the roster to do it. They might not. We just don't fully know because of injuries. And at this point in the year, morale's a little low.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear. Like, if you look at 2026, it's possible that they both could be competitive. But if you look at both of those divisions, though, I mean, the NFC East, like you got the Eagles, Cowboys are looking like they're going to be great over these next couple of years if they're able to only keep on improving on this defensive side of the ball. The Giants, who knows? I mean, they have some fun, exciting pieces. Then for Minnesota, I mean, you got Ben Johnson now in Chicago, and they're leading the conference as of right now. Green Bay is always going to be good. And then Detroit, who knows? Maybe they're going to be able to bounce back after this year, after regressing also after last year. So it's an interesting situation for Minnesota here because, I mean, you did spend draft capital on JJ McCarthy, but if you don't think that he's the guy, which I think is interesting because yes, he's wrapping up his second year, but he's really only played what, he played 2 games and he went on IR for 6 or 7 games, right? And then he
Yeah.
played a couple more games and then he got a concussion and was out this past week. So it's like he's really only started 7 games overall. So I'm curious too as well. I mean, that's a very quick trigger to pull on a kid, but that's also too. But it's a
Especially
results
he's
oriented.
22. Like, he was the youngest QB in that draft class, if I'm not mistaken.
Michael Penix wasn't the youngest.
No, he
That's a joke.
was.
I'm
Yeah.
just playing.
Yeah.
I know. As an Indiana fan and a Falcons fan, I'm well aware on how old Michael Penix is. And so stop up these pop-up ads. I believe JJ McCarthy is 22 years old. But that's the thing though. It's he showed moments of brilliance in Michigan. It helped that he was like the starting quarterback on that team, but I still even thought that there were moments of athleticism that were really good for him as well, like to take him that high. And I really trust Kevin O'Connell and this Minnesota Vikings offense. I think they're going to give him some more time because also too, especially in this draft class. I mean, as an Indiana fan, I love Fernando Mendoza. I also think too Ty Simpson is very interesting as well and really good. Dante Moore has only improved throughout this year if he ends up coming back, or if he ends up declaring. If he goes back to college, he's only going to get better and potentially could be a top pick in next year's draft class.
Yeah.
But I almost think in this day and age of like we need to go and win and rebuild now. Well, rebuild and win in the same year. I think you almost need to give JJ McCarthy a couple more attempts, maybe
It,
not seasons, but at least go into next year and be like, hey, let's see what we got with the kid
yeah.
because he's not even going to play a full season this year.
Yeah. Well, and like you look, so he's been in the league now 2 years. So he's only going to have like 6 starts under his belt, and so I agree with you on that statement there, where it's just going to be hard to kind of get a full picture of what he's able to do. So for me, I just I don't know. You said it though. It is a results driven league. If you don't like what you've seen and you feel like you have a chance to take a guy that you think could be better or produce the results that you want, that'd be hard to pass. So it's
Yeah.
a tough dilemma that the Vikings are in. Again, like I said, the answers could be on their roster. They could not be. We don't know as of right now. So as far as this game goes, jumping into predictions, I'm going to go with Washington. I just feel like they're going to be the better team as of right now. I I like what they did against Denver. And I feel like Minnesota's going to be able to throw some things at them that Denver has a really good defense too, especially that front. So I feel like they just handled a tough front and the offense looked decent. It took a miraculous effort, but they still look decent. And so I feel like that's going to be the big thing here is, can this Commanders team still make plays against this front? Because this Brian Flores defense will get after it, and I think they'll be able to make enough to come out on top.
Yeah. No, I'm going to go with Washington also. I believe that there's still going to be a lot of learning for JJ McCarthy, and I think part of the way that you go and learn is you're just going to have to kind of fight through it, and you're
Yeah.
going to have these moments here. Unfortunately, it's going to be some bad games overall for Minnesota, but eventually it's going to click here. But I'm going to go with Washington on this one, especially too. I think after kind of the game of the year, I feel like they're going to want to kind of finish off what they started last week, just against a much more lowly team.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. So, with that said, let's go ahead and wrap this video up here. If you guys have not already, please go ahead and like and subscribe. That is the best way to help out the channel. While you're down there, leave a comment on who you think is going to come out ahead. Will it be the Washington Commanders? Will it be the Minnesota Vikings? Other than that, we'll see you guys next time.